I just have to say, there is just nothing quite like 16th century England. Huzzah?
Huzzah!
Can I get a huzzah?
Huzzah!
Right, and it's when you spend that much of your time and energy, devote that much of yourself to bringing that remarkable chapter in human history back to life for people, it's easy to get nostalgic for it. And I became so nostalgic that I wrote this sentimental ballad. It's called The Days of King Henry. There's an easy sing-along chorus. Sing out if you know it. It goes something like this. How I long for the days of King Henry, when the world was in its rebirth. 'Twas a time to make merry, an extraordinary age of beauty, magic, and mirth. When the ladies would curtsy and men kissed their hands, and chivalry had such allure. People ate turkey legs, cinnamon, almonds, Scotch eggs, and fried mac and cheese on a skewer. When each day ended up with a pub sing, each act had some chorus crowds were to sing on. Along with trolls, elves, barbarians, knights, jesters, fairies, rogues, wenches, stormtroopers, and Klingons. How I long for the days of King Henry, when the world was in its rebirth. 'Twas a time to make merry, an extraordinary age of beauty, magic, and mirth. Half the merchants in town were hair braiders, henna tattoo artists, and fortune tellers. When the keepers of inns always welcomed their friends and kept mead and Coors Light in their cellars. When most of the artisans gladly took plastic and patrons gave Visa to them. But if they didn't trust the leather guy and thought cash was better, why the villages had ATMs. How I long for the days of King Henry, right when the world was in its rebirth. 'Twas a time to make a merry, an extraordinary age of beauty, magic, and mirth. When the king declared every day festive, and each day the bad guys hatched their plot. But the heroes would meet them with duels in the street, and by late afternoon they were caught. When handsome knights jousted on horseback, die-hard joust fans knew when they would fall. Townfolk weren't at all skittish, some tried to sound British, and they interchanged thee, thou, and y'all. How I long for the days of King Henry, when the world was in its rebirth. 'Twas a time to make merry, an extraordinary age of beauty, magic, and mirth. When a trip to a village meant seeing old friends and faces familiar and dear, like people who worked for vendors, though they had worn the splendor of royalty in previous years. When the minstrels charmed pub-goers with Irish tunes from the late 19th century, and the patrons were thrilled, lined their hats with small bills, and then purchased their folk rock CD. How I long for the days of King Henry, when the world was in its rebirth. 'Twas a time to make merry, an extraordinary age of beauty, magic, and mirth. When the villagers all toasted each other's health by lifting ornate pewter flagons. When upon every corner there were street performers who all thought that airplanes were dragons. When the guests in a town made such witty remarks about customs locals would keep, some thought they were quite clever, and that men in kilts never heard Scottish jokes that involved sheep. How I long for the days of King Henry, when the world was in its rebirth. 'Twas a time to make merry, an extraordinary age of beauty, magic, and mirth. When instead of cars people rode horses, and their weapons were swords, bows, and arrows. When men fought midlife crisis by dressing as pirates, and they tried to be Captain Jack Sparrow. When the maidens wore big hoop skirt dresses that slenderized them, and that they fit so well in, right ladies? That pushed everything up more and more, so their torso looked like they were smuggling melons. How I long for the days of King Henry, when the world was in its rebirth. 'Twas a time to make merry, an extraordinary age of beauty, magic, and mirth. 'Twas a time to make merry, an extraordinary age of beauty, magic, and
I long for the days of King Henry, when the world was in its rebirth. 'Twas a time to make merry, an extraordinary age of beauty, magic, and mirth. When the ladies would curtsy and men kissed their hands, and chivalry had such allure. People ate turkey legs, cinnamon, almonds, Scotch eggs, and fried mac and cheese on a skewer.